Hello and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Talk Fútbol podcast. My name's Tommy Hay and I'm joined as always by the editor of Get Spanish Football News, Kieran Quayle. Now we're running a little bit late today because it's all been happening more or less, hasn't it? Have you been busy today?
Pretty busy, yeah. Lots happening today with the transfers.
Where'd you want to start? Gareth Bale, surely.
Has to be.
Right, it's a big one. Okay, so it's currently Thursday? Is that the day today?
That's it.
Thursday, 7:25. What do we know so far about Gareth Bale?
Plenty of news in, but nothing really official yet. So Bale's heading to London tomorrow. He's still in Madrid, but he's going to fly to Spurs for a medical tomorrow and probably complete the deal tomorrow. That's Friday. Nothing is official, but it looks like it's done. Daniel Levy's been pushing it for Spurs. Mourinho has obviously given the go-ahead as well because he's always been a big admirer of Bale. And he's going to join on a 1-year loan deal, so he's finally getting out of Madrid.
We were talking about that last week about how he was just so kind of blasé about the whole thing when he was asked if he was going to stay at Madrid, and that's is it Sky Sports, I think the interview was with. So yeah, I think he'll be happy with that. I was saying to you earlier, I can't remember a deal where everybody's just been so universally happy on all sides of the thing. Real Madrid are happy to get rid of him. He's happy to be getting rid of. And you know, Spurs will be happy to get such a good talent back, because you'd forget if you were just reading the Spanish press and following what people here say about him, you'd forget the guy's a good player.
Yeah, he's a great player, and I'm actually looking forward to watching him play again. I kind of missed him because you see him on the bench every week for Madrid and you kind of forget how good he actually is and all he's won here. Like his record here is brilliant. He's had a seriously successful spell since joining from Spurs for all that money back 7 years ago. So yeah, he's had a good time, but it's definitely time to go. And it was just finding a club that would actually do a deal with Madrid. I think Madrid came around to their senses recently and basically realised that, okay, no one's going to pay the 600,000 a week, so we need to actually help a club come in. I know Spurs are paying off a huge debt on a massive stadium, but there's money there behind them, obviously, if they're able to buy a new stadium. So they were going to come in and pay half the wages of Bale, and he'll be joining Harry Kane. There was talk of Dele Alli moving in the other direction, but Madrid refused that, or they've rejected it.
Is that because his banter's so shocking?
I don't know. I've been watching the Amazon Prime video, and he asked those physios some questions. What was it the other day? What's your favourite 3 chocolate bars? Was one of the questions he asked them.
He was talking about the toothpaste as well. He was like, do you wet your toothbrush before you... He's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just... He's probably a lovely guy. He's probably got a nice family and all that, but not for me.
Yeah, he's maybe that's just put the Madrid physios off, and they decided not to go with it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Bale again at Spurs. Do you think he'll start?
Oh, you'd think so, no?
Yeah,
I think they're definitely. If you watched I watched the highlights of the game against Everton the other day, and he would fit so well into that team. He's creative, aggressive, everything that they were missing the other day. Everton didn't really look under any kind of threat the other day against him. Didn't watch the full game, I have to say, but that's the sensation.
Yeah, he's still 31, and you know there's time left in it for him, I think. And Mourinho was obviously always a fan. He wanted to sign him at Madrid. He came out the other day and said that he wanted to sign him when he was the manager to Bernabeu. So I think the fact that he likes him is kind of... And he supposedly has gotten permission from Real Madrid to speak to Bale, and he spoke to him and said that there's a role here for you. So I think that was obviously enough for Bale to get out, because I don't know, like, what other options? There was that option going to China last year, but this is obviously a much better move, because I think it would have been sad to see a 31-year-old go, and the fact that he still has stuff to offer. We know he's fairly injury prone, but hopefully he can stay fit and get a right go of it in the Premier League again, because like I think in the Premier League he has a really good reputation, and people don't really realise how hated he is in Spain, and like how much abuse he receives. It's a minority of Real Madrid fans that like him. Well,
Real Madrid Twitter was a bit divided today. I noticed just before you arrived here that what was trending? Cuatro champions, 4 champions was trending, and it was people talking about Bale's record. He's been here for 4 Champions Leagues, scored very important goals in 2 finals. Not to mention the Copa del Rey final and all that. So I think it's too early for for them to take stock, but maybe in a year's time you'll start to hear more people coming out and say, yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
But at the moment, as you say, it's
when he re-signs for Madrid and wins the league for them next year.
Still wouldn't be enough. But I'm looking forward to not having to talk about just to see these really angry articles about it.
Yeah, we've seen so much about golf, Wales, Madrid. We've seen that week in, week out now, so it's going to be a nice break for him as well.
Do you think he should do his first interview press conference entirely in Spanish and pretend he doesn't speak English? I think it would be good. Okay, more transfer news. Luís Suárez is in Italy doing a wee exam.
He's going for an intermediate level Italian exam, the B1 exam.
Yeah.
You were saying that his missus has Italian family?
I don't know if that's the case. She's got an Italian name, like so many people, Uruguay, Argentina. She's Uruguayan, but I actually can't remember what her name is, but it's some kind of Italian thing beginning with B. Let's say Bianchi. I just completely made that up, but like something like that. So I don't know if that's how he's able to do it, but basically I think he's just doing it as insurance because he's hoping to get a move there. If it doesn't work out with Koeman. But it's weird, isn't it? Because we don't really know where he is at the moment. It's like Koeman. Okay, so the timeline of this is that when Koeman takes over, he basically told Suárez, you're not in my plans here. I'm not going to count on you. You're just not in my plans, so you're free to go wherever. He said the same thing to Vidal. Fast forward, Suárez is still there, and apparently Koeman came out after that friendly against Girona and said, as I understand it, he could stay. And if he does end up staying, we'll treat him like any other member of the squad. So he said that in public after the game, so maybe it's a possibility.
Yeah,
I think this thing that he's doing just now in Italy is just an insurance policy, just so he is able to play in Italy should Koeman choose to get rid of him in the end. But it's a weird one.
Yeah, so transfer guru Fabrizio Romano has come out this evening, just there within the last hour, and everyone kind of waits for Fabrizio. It's kind of like if he doesn't say it, it's not true.
Yeah.
So he's now saying that Juventus are actually in the final stages of completing a deal for Edin Dzeko, and he'll sign, which means that Suárez isn't actually going to sign for Juventus, and Dzeko was their number one target the whole time, and that Suárez is still going to get his Italian passport, but that it's not actually going to go through that deal. So I think at the minute it's really up in the air. We don't know if he's going to stay at Barca or not, but it looks like Juventus are out. Atletico Madrid were interested, but they can't afford him, because we all know that they're kind of paying off their stadium a bit like Spurs as well, and they just don't have the money, and they said that they're only going to pay a certain amount of revenue generated. So they're a bit like Barca, where like they need to sell players before they can buy, basically, and that's just the case at Barcelona as well. It's just like they want the pie. A couple of other players, maybe Wijnaldum as well from Liverpool, but they need to sell players. So I don't know, this Suárez thing now, it looks like it mightn't happen at all. So
I reckon Wijnaldum could maybe come over, because that's Alcantara's just signed for Liverpool.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that could happen. But again, they're still waiting on selling, and I don't know who they're going to sell.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Okay, moving on from that. We've got to talk about the Barcelona thing with Bartomeu. So like, there's a thing in Spanish called moción de censura, which is basically vote of no confidence. And in order to do that, they had to basically accumulate lots of signatures, and they've got them, don't they? What was they had to get 16,000, 16,200 maybe, something like that. 521, I've got it here.
Okay.
Yeah, 521 in order to hold the vote. And how many do they have at 7:30?
20,000, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. It's well past it anyway, so squeaky bum time for Bartomeu.
Yeah.
It looks like he's finally going to get pushed out.
Well, it looks like it. So, I mean, they do need a majority. It's got to be a 2/3 majority of people have to vote against them in this kind of referendum thing.
And they need 10% of club members to be part of that as well.
I reckon it's totally doable though. It'll be the next 10 to 20 days. If you're listening to this on Friday, there's probably already been a press conference with the people who organised it. That's due to take place Friday at 12 o'clock. So we'll know more about it tomorrow, but it's one of these things that keeps changing. Just with every kind of passing minute, but they'll be happy that they'll be able to hold this vote in the next 10 to 20 days.
The signatures are coming in anyway. They've got different stations across the city for people to go and sign, so they've made it pretty easy.
They love a referendum, don't they?
Can't get enough up there.
So do you reckon he'll be pushed out?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. If it's going to go to phase 2, and then phase 3 will be the actual voting stage. So yeah, it looks like with all these signatures collected, he will be gone. and then the favourite would be Font to come in as president. His mandate is up in March 2021, Bartomeu. So I think Messi. Do you reckon Messi got out for a sneaky signing?
What, like?
Went round to one of the stations. lean with Messi. There you go.
It's entirely possible. I mean, he's not a big fan, is he?
No,
to say the least. So I saw Victor Font on Twitter today, talking about that as well, just about what a great achievement it was and all that. So he's long since thrown his hat in the ring. I think it's gonna be. It's all very interesting.
Yeah. So one thing after the next up there, Koeman's trying to get a team together.
Yeah.
Koeman mightn't actually be able to take charge of a game because they still haven't paid Kike Setien for his final year's wage, and basically until they do that, Setien or Koeman can't actually be in the dugout for a league match at Barcelona. So it's just all happening up there between transfers. Like, you know, every day you're hearing what's happening. Like, is someone coming, someone going? Is there a transfer actually going to take place? But it's just nothing has really happened. They won a friendly against Nastic over the weekend, then they beat Girona last night as well, and they had Griezmann playing central with Messi, Trincao in behind. So it was kind of a new system that Koeman's going for, like a 4-2-3-1, slightly more defensive. He's been able to take charge of these friendlies, but in official matches he's not going to be able to be in the dugout until they sort out the whole Setien thing.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't look too bad the other day against Girona. Nastic were, it's not the highest quality
pushover,
but Girona not too bad at all, and they did pretty well. I'd say they've kind of got an embarrassment of riches in the centre of the park. You know, they're going to be fine there no matter what. With this 4-2-3-1 formation, that just seems that's what he's going to play.
Yeah.
But no matter what way you look at it, it's going to be a strong midfield. Problem is, they don't really have an out and out striker, do they? Braithwaite's not really up to it. As far
this lad called Messi, he's not bad.
That's the thing, you know. But like the guy in to replace Suarez, what Suarez would have been at his best. Like, does it matter if you have Messi?
Yeah, I think you're right. Messi's going to be part of that tree behind the striker. And I think they originally wanted Lautaro Martinez, but he's not going to leave Inter, according to Inter. That's just been going on for months, and Barca don't have the money for it. There was talk of like 70 million, and then Semedo was thrown into the mix as usual. That's not going to happen. So their plan B was then Depay. Lyon will accept 30 million euro, according to outlets in France and Spain, that they'll accept the first bid they receive, basically, because he's only got 1 year left in his contract and he's going to be able to go for free next year. So they'll be happy to take 30 million for Depay, which would be a pretty good deal for Barcelona, I think, because he's 27 maybe, and he's really, since leaving Man United, he's really kind of come into his own, and he's a decent striker. I know the French league gets abused to call it the Farmers League sometimes, but you know, I think La Liga is going to be a challenge for him. But if he's been ahead of Griezmann, Messi and Trincao, you know, like there's lots of talent there to supply the ball to him. But yeah, you'd imagine if a striker came in, then that would be Suarez on the bench if Suarez did stay.
Yeah, I think they're trying to push him at the door. And yeah, you had a good article about this today. Basically, it's kind of imperative for them that if they are going to go for the Memphis signing, that Suarez has to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no other way that's going to happen.
Yeah, La Liga are basically saying that you need to sell before you buy with this new like financial package, some kind of scheme they have for the coronavirus pandemic. They're basically looking at the club's financial situation and basically saying you can't splash, like you need to kind of generate the money first. So I don't know, it feels like a lot of deals are going to happen pretty late on in the month. It's the 17th of September, we still have till the 5th of October, but like, you know, apart from Spurs bringing players, like Reguilón's going to go as well, Sergio Reguilón's going to go to Spurs. Apart from those two deals, everything else is kind of a waiting game.
Yeah. Let's talk about the football though, because we've kind of been doing what everybody's been doing and just talking about the transfers, because we were saying before we started recording this that's kind of all you can talk about at the moment. The big teams aren't playing because they were playing in Europe until fairly late, so they're getting a little bit extra time off, and for that reason we haven't had the big teams playing, and we're kind of talking more about transfers than we are about the actual football. We're on a bit of a downer, aren't we? Like in this country at the moment. I know things aren't the best with the whole COVID situation and everything. It's starting to rain and all that. I think there's a bit of a general depression going about, but they're really taking it to the next level. El País, the newspaper, there's a veteran journalist called Santiago Segurola, very well respected guy, great journalist and all that. He's been right down in the dumps about the whole La Liga thing. He wrote an article in which he described the opening day or the opening weekend as having the menacing air of a dystopian nightmare. Jesus, I mean that's heavy. Is it that bad?
He obviously didn't watch the Valencia derby on Sunday night.
It's great.
It's a cracker.
4-2.
Yeah.
Like, where's all this coming from? Like this negativity about La Liga.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to no Atleti, no Real Madrid, no Barcelona playing. A lot of it is kind of you kind of start the new season. You've got 10 fixtures to look forward to, and you have a game to go to. Maybe you have 2 or 3 games to go to because you haven't gone to a game all summer, and there's been no Euros, a World Cup, or anything. So a lot of football fans are really frustrated. People that I know here in Madrid that would go to lower league football, they're just kind of dying for it to come back, and we don't know when it's going to be. I've seen in Germany they're going to start bringing fans back in. There's talk of like 7,000 to 10,000, depending on the size of the stadium. So I think if Spain did something like that, it would probably go to season ticket holders. So I understand why fans in general are aggravated at the moment, but I'm just happy to have it back, even if we can't go. And it's going to be good to have all the teams back playing, back competing, because at the moment it still kind of feels like pre-season with like transfers happening. It feels like we're in the middle of the summer, even though we're coming up to the end of September, like with transfers still up in the air and different things. So it's a strange time to be a football fan at the moment.
It is, but it's not an ideal situation, but at least it's back. I mean, I don't know if these people remember as far back as when the proper lockdown was on, but I was dying for the football to come back.
Yeah,
it just wasn't there, and the fact that they're able to make this work, that they're able to make it work with the testing and everything, people working around the clock to make sure that the thing does sort of flow well, and I think they're doing a good enough job. It is what it is.
I do miss having a game to look forward to go to.
Yeah.
Like normally you've got Atletico, or maybe you go to Rayo, or you're looking at the fixture list, even though in Spain they don't really release them for like 2 weeks before the game. It's really quite late here, and you never really know, you can't really plan. So I don't know, but I do miss the kind of next week I'm going to go to this. Yeah. Maybe do a double header. But yeah, like we're able to watch it from the comfort of our own homes, and La Liga is back. Yeah, that's it. Some of the negativity I get, I mean, the first game back, or the first bunch of games back, we had Cadiz. That should have been a great story, them being back after so long out. Yeah, I think it was 14 years. Yeah, 14 years and nobody there to see it. Even the manager was at home. Valverde was at home because he's in quarantine. So yeah, a bit of that's a downer, because they create a really good atmosphere down there. And you know, if you've been in Segunda for so long, that I do feel for those fans. That's hard. Yeah. David Silva as well, the whole situation with him, everybody was dead excited about him coming back literally right after he signed. He tested positive for COVID. He hasn't even played any bounce games with him, so that's disappointing as well. You were mentioning the thing about not knowing how to plan for things. It turns out La Liga don't really know how to plan for things either, and this has caused a bit of a schism. You know, I think a lot of managers and people are pretty angry. Pellegrini came out the other day saying that this whole thing, cancelling matches or changing the kickoff time of matches 48 hours before they're due to kick off, wouldn't happen in England. And I think that pissed quite a lot of people off, you know, comparing the two leagues. Everybody here says La Liga is the best league in the world, but they're not really behaving like it. Could you explain really what's going on with that, the league and the federation? It's just it's kind of the same year in year out, isn't it? It's, you know, we were supposed to start the league on the Friday, and then the first game was pushed onto Saturday. But that was like at the last minute. So I can understand, like, Betis have to travel to the Basque Country. It's basically going from the bottom of the country to the top of the country. So it's not ideal. And Pellegrini has worked in Spain before with Malaga, Villarreal, Real Madrid. So he knows what's happening, and he's been in the Premier League with City, West Ham, and he's probably seen the difference and just the lack of communication here. And it's not fair on anybody, really. Teams travelling, when supporters can go, they don't know when the games are going to be, and you know, it's all kind of like lastminute.com with the whole thing here. So that's a good way of summing it up. Lastminute.com. I think that's more or less it, but it really rubbed people up the wrong way when he said that this wouldn't happen in England. Or maybe they'll get their act together now. Maybe someone of his authority has to come out and say it.
Yeah, I think it's good seeing guys actually coming out and complaining about it.
100%.
That has to be.
Yeah,
because
you're planning your pre-season, you're planning all week, and then all of a sudden, all right, disaster for the logistics manager, you know.
Yeah, that's more or less it. Well, Villarreal. We'll do a quick run through some of the results. Villarreal, we're going to be disappointed with that 1-1 at home to Huesca. They were actually really good, like, in the game, and they're definitely one of the more promising teams in this league. Just with the new manager, the new energy about some of the new signings. Coquelin actually got injured in the game, which wasn't good, and Kubo started the game on the bench, so it wasn't too too different from what we would have seen on the pitch last season, up until when Kubo came on. We're a bit surprised he wasn't starting Kubo, because everybody's so excited about him.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a loan deal, you just automatically assume they're going to start him.
Yeah.
Because he's there for a year on loan, and they beat all the other competition to sign him. So they obviously guaranteed Madrid game time for Kubo to develop. I don't know, maybe he was lacking a bit of fitness, or he had a tweak, or I don't know. But like, on paper, still a very good team. Chikwueze and Moy Gomez playing wide instead of Kubo, and both of them were regulars last season as well. And then still strange seeing Parejo in a yellow jersey after so many seasons at Valencia, but I think they're gonna be very good. And they bought Pervis Estupiñán from Watford on a 7-year deal. Very surprised to see 7 years, especially given the pandemic.
I was surprised them shell out 16 million as well, because they're trying to cut costs. So I mean, it's not the most expensive signing in the world, but like they've really been trying to keep costs down. So maybe that's one of the more, like, they wouldn't pay 25 million for Anguissa.
No.
Who, if you saw him playing against Arsenal at the weekend, probably was not worth the money, because he was absolutely crap.
Estupiñán's 22, and he has a lot of potential. So I think it actually is a good deal.
Yeah,
the 16 million. The fact that he's young and they're getting him for so long. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But Huesca, they'll be delighted with that. Their first game back in Primera and a point away from home.
Yeah, not bad. Alaves v Betis. People are very excited about Betis this year. They haven't really made any signings as such, but the commentator pointed this out during the game the other day. It was like, Betis, with some of the players they've got, we yet to see the best of, for example, Borja Iglesias. Fekir was decent last season, but one of the criticisms of him is that he only turns up in the big games. You know, he'll be great against Barcelona, he'll be great against Madrid or whatever, but then against the smaller teams he just doesn't do it. So it's almost like they're almost like two new signings. If they can kick on and play to their full potential, that's like two new signings. And obviously with the manager, with Pellegrini and stuff, so it's exciting times for Betis, and they did well to go away there and get a 1-0 win. Yeah,
definitely. And on paper, you look at it, and it's the exact same team as last year, who really underperformed, finishing 13th or 14th. And when I saw Borja Iglesias starting, I was actually delighted, because he scored 3 goals last season after moving for 28 million. And like, his confidence must be so low, but because they paid 28 million, there's obviously a good player there who had a good spell at Espanyol, and you think, okay, give him a chance. And I hope he kicks on. And with Pellegrini, Pellegrini trusts his own methods and football philosophy, so he's obviously confident in these players. And you've got a lot of good players there with Canales, Fekir, William Carvalho, Guido Rodriguez, and then the legend Joaquin, 39, still starting another La Liga season.
He was great again. He really was. Really good. Teo's goal as well was fantastic right at the end.
Right at the end.
Betis did deserve to win. Like, they were the better team. Alaves don't really. Paulo Machines, the new manager there.
Yeah.
Good to see him back.
And they've lost your mate, Ollie Burke.
Ollie Burke, yeah. Absolutely. That is a surprise. Has to be. Like, he's back at Sheffield.
Very surprised at that move.
Why are you surprised? As somebody that watched him at Alaves last season, are you surprised just because he wasn't any...
I'm surprised because he didn't really do anything in La Liga, and he's after managing to get a move to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Still a young player. Like, you look at him, he's big, he's strong, he's quick. And I don't know, like, the Alaves style of play mightn't have suited him. He's playing as a leading striker on his own a lot of the time as well last season, and then wide as a winger as well. And he played the whole time, so they liked him at Alaves. But I think he'll be buzzing with that move, and I'm just surprised because his stats were really poor last season for an attacking player. But again, he wasn't playing in the most goal scorer in Alaves team either.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't great. I think that's something we should have to remember.
Just think he's such a journeyman, isn't he? And he's been everywhere. So the fact that a team from the Premier League has taken a punt on him, I think he can count his lucky stars.
I think it was a swap deal as well. what was his name? I think it was Callum. What was he? Robinson. I might be getting that completely wrong, but it was a
Irish player.
Is that him?
Yeah.
It was a swap deal involving him. So I don't know if there's something else there, but not a bad signing by any means. But just it's a bit of a surprise, just given the way that it was. But obviously, the thing is, the people who are working with these guys day in day out, they know way more than what we do.
Of course.
Just as neutral observers looking at stats and things and kind of what our general impressions are. Coaches can see stuff that your average person can't see, but yeah, I think that's honestly a bit of a surprise. But I'm good to see Machin back as manager. Let's see if we can go like a month without slagging off the entire squad this time.
Yeah, he didn't last long in Espanyol, did he?
Absolutely
10 games or something like that.
He absolutely slated his players. I think it was about 10 games. Yeah. Called them like wee boys basically in public. So you can't be saying that.
That was back in November. We were talking about that, and yeah, he just knew he wasn't going to last very long. They were rock bottom of the table.
Yeah.
And ended up getting relegated.
Yeah. Celta were absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. The entire game was just not worth watching. Actually, the less said about, the better.
Yeah, and again, the same kind of team as well at Celta this season. I hope they don't struggle, because it's a bit like Betis. You look at the team and you're like, right, give them a second chance because there's so much quality on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But you just wonder if it's going to be the same thing again for like the third or fourth season in a row.
They've also lost.
Aspas.
They've lost Rafinha as well. So like Rafinha's back. Again, I saw a thing that they said Rafinha looked like he could maybe fit into plans at the Camp Nou. I'm like, where the hell does Rafinha fit in?
Yeah, no, I think there's too much there, isn't there, in midfield already?
Yeah.
And the fact that they're looking to make money, I think he'll be gone.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
Barcelona need money, so it's the likes of that, like the squad player that he's still relatively young. I think they're talking 14 or 16 million for him that they could get, which that's really important for Barca at the minute.
Do you think Celta could pay that?
I don't know what Celta's cash flow situation's like at the moment.
Well, the Mourinho, the President Mourinho, with an N-Y, not NH, he said, I remember at the turn of this year, that he was willing to invest quite a lot in the club. Then Nolito came in.
That was an emergency transfer, yeah.
Yeah, but there's not really been. It's, as you say, it's basically the same as the end of last season. There's
basically
not been much time. So
yeah, the same squad that people were predicting would finish in the top 6 last year. So whether they can go on and do better again. Denis Suarez on the bench didn't even come on. You're just wondering what's happened to his career. It's bizarre.
He's been painful to watch sometimes towards it. But Celta in general, it could just be the team that they've been in.
Yeah, I mean it's game week 1, so there's lots of stuff can change.
Yeah, that's it. He's played for Eibar. Okazaki played for Leicester.
Yeah,
he was at Malaga for 34 days, and then they ran out of money, so they couldn't pay him. So he made no appearances, no goals, nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see him getting a game at Eibar now, and he's fairly decent the other day.
Yeah.
And now it's all been very negative. Valencia Levante, positive. That was a good game.
Cracker.
Yeah. Are they allowed to prove us wrong? Because everybody's written Valencia off as possible relegation candidates and all that. And Gracia, the manager, came out and complained about the whole situation, about the lack of signings, the fact that they've just been hemorrhaging players and all that. Again, good to see that. The sort of that's a positive thing if you're a Valencia fan. The fact that the manager is coming out and standing up for what the fans themselves are saying. And
big statement. Yeah, I think he probably had the confidence to do it because he knows the fans are really frustrated.
Yep. He also just starting out, and his pre-season results not bad. They beat Villarreal 2-1 in that.
No, he's a very good manager, Gracia.
Yeah,
he doesn't look 50, but he's well experienced, and I can see him. He'll get the most out of those players, and he came out and said that basically I've been promised signings and they haven't come. So basically he's defending himself in a way there. It's basically, this is what I can do, this is all I have, and they scored 4 goals, but definitely Jose Luis Morales deserves a mention because both of his goals were crackers, and he put them 2-1 up. So Valencia did well to come back, and they looked actually really reunited as a group. They looked really together, and Gracia's obviously instilled a bit of a bond there now, and he'll get them on his side because he's a very good coach, and they have some very talented players there. I know they've lost plenty with their most experienced players and their best players. Rodrigo Moreno went to Leeds, Parejo went to Villarreal,
Ferran Torres.
Yeah, Coquelin. You know, they've lost like 4 of their best players, so it's definitely going to be a tough one for Gracia. But I think he'll do okay.
Yeah, I think he will. And it's interesting, like what you say that about, like the Valencia had looked like they'd been playing together for a while. They didn't have these, you would expect a team like that to look a bit more disjointed, look a bit more confused when they're playing with each other. In the same way that Villarreal haven't looked entirely like they're at ease with each other so far. Valencia, if you'd seen them playing against Levante, you would say that the more experienced team was Valencia on the night.
Yeah, the Valencia boys know each other, whereas the Villarreal boys, that's basically a brand new team being put together. So it's going to take Unai Emery time, and there's going to be a lot of pressure because of the signings he's made there. There's going to be lots of pressure at Villarreal, whereas Gracia's got less pressure on him, even though Valencia is a huge club. The fans know nobody's come in. We've lost half our team, but those guys have played with each other. And, I was really surprised to see them so united because the club's in absolute shambles at the moment. So obviously it's nice to see them just focusing on the football side of things and then letting Peter Lim and Anil Murty do all the messy stuff off the pitch.
That's it. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about?
Sergio Reguilón, just briefly mention him. He's moving to Spurs from Real Madrid. He's, for people who have watched Sevilla in the Europa League, you'd see a very attacking left back. Still only 23, and he's quality, but he just wasn't in Zidane's plans to get in because Zidane obviously has Ferland Mendy and Marcelo there ahead of him in the pecking order, and he needs game time. So all along it looked like it was actually going to be Man United that were going to get him, but that didn't happen. There was a buyback clause basically inserted into the deal that Madrid wanted to have him back in the next 2 years if they wished so. And that would have been 45 million, but United were basically arguing that no, he's our player if we sign him, and we are in charge of his contract, and we don't want any buyback clauses in there. So it looks like he's going to join Spurs for €30 million, and he'll join until 2025. But there's obviously that buyback clause in there for Madrid, but I think probably won't be used because Madrid have Mendy, and they have a very good left back coming through, Miguel Gutierrez, who'll probably become second choice when Marcelo eventually leaves or retires. Yeah, so that one's one for Premier League fans to look out for. Reguilón, very attacking, not so good defensively. So as a Man United fan, I'm kind of glad we didn't get him. I think Luke Shaw is actually a better defender.
Really?
But Reguilón going forward, he'll definitely give you a lot. I think he needs to work on his defensive duties.
It can be improved. I have to say I haven't really noticed that about him. That he's certainly going forward. He's really exciting to watch. Great for Sevilla.
Yeah,
when he was there, so it'll be an interesting one to see. The news has been overshadowed today though by the Gareth Bale thing though. It just has. Yeah,
Bale's always in the news, regardless of moves or not. He's always in the news. He's playing golf, or he's got crazy hair or whatever. So I'm actually going to miss all the attention on him because I like Bale a lot, but I'm not going to miss the negative criticism.
That's it. Yeah, got to be more positive, I think, about everything. Okay, well definitely. That's us all finished for today. Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next Thursday, hopefully a little bit earlier in the day. But we'll see what happens.
We were working today, lots of transfers.
That's it. Okay, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Adios.
Hasta luego.
Thank you.